Are you ready for some games? Naturally. Here we are at the most important gaming event of the year that only 1,000 people will watch. But hey, those thousands of people are not important to me. Welcome to the Shelf Awards 2023. If you watched the previous year's event, then you know exactly what to expect. Every single game that I played this year will get an award of sorts. It doesn't matter when they released, as long as it was a new experience for me in 2023, they'll be mentioned here. So, shall we get started?
One thing I noticed about this year is that I played a decent amount of indie games, and the first one to enter the fray is a cute little game called Here Comes Nico, published by Gears for Breakfast, the creators of A Hat in Time. This is one of the simplest 3D platformers I've ever played. There's no high risks, no weird curveballs, you cannot even die here. It's one of the easiest games you'll play in your life. But that doesn't mean it's boring. Here Comes Nico will have you traveling across islands helping people by fulfilling different tasks. From making friends, catch fish, play volleyball, collect bugs, and even solve puzzles. The controls are very simple but feel very nice. And the art style is so pretty and cute, it even reminds me to Paper Mario 64 to some degree. This is one of those games you play for nothing more than the chill vibes and cozy atmosphere. Now, why does it have a soft plot about an abusive life at home? I don't know, I guess it's for some people to relate to maybe? I could be wrong, but it feels like it just exists to be less relatable, you know what I'm saying? But still, Here Comes Nico is something you should consider if you just want to relax for a little bit.
And that's why this game gets the award of frogs. Way too many frogs. So many frogs, in fact, there's even a handsome frog.
Tinykin, a title recommended to me by my great friend Miss Fushi. Have you ever wondered what would happen if Pikmin was a 3D platformer instead of a strategy game? Well, here's your answer! Tinykin will have you play as this little guy named Milo, who has to explore entire cities all built within a house. You'll have to overcome different challenges and solve puzzles with the help of the Tinykin, each having different abilities depending on their color. Sounds familiar? Of course it does! Tinykin offers an amazing art style, very creative level design, and a guaranteed good time. My only real issue with it is that this is another indie game where it's like, wow, this is so cute and whimsical and funny! But... like, I'm not against stuff like that, but most of the time it just comes out of nowhere and it feels like many indie games do it for shock value or because they need something to be memorable. Tinykin didn't have to do that. I think the game is memorable enough for the things it already does right. But still, that doesn't take away how much fun it is.
Tinykin gets the award of this is the Pikmin 4 we needed all this time. Then Pikmin 4 released a year later, but hey, Tinykin is still a very fun game.
Record of Lodoss War, Diddlit in Wonder Labyrinth. It will be easy for you guys to imply that I only play this game because you play as a pretty elf lady knight, right?
Yes, actually, you're right.
But in my defense, I was also very interested in this game because A, it's a Metroidvania, and B, the game's cover was drawn by Hidari, the same artist from Fire Emblem Shadows of Valentia. How many times have I praised this artist on this channel already? If Hidari was involved in this game, then that means it's gonna be good, right? Well, yes, actually it is. Diddlit is not the most impressive and groundbreaking Metroidvania out there, but it is a very solid one. It has great level design, wonderful pixel art, very tight controls, satisfying weapons, a respectable amount of enemy variety, and a fantastic challenge curve. The only thing that didn't catch me was the story, like, I understood what was going on, but even then I felt like I was missing something. And it wasn't until after I finished the game that I found out Record of Lodoss is an entire franchise, which made a lot of sense. Did this push me to try more Record of Lodoss media? Not really, but it was still a very fun and satisfying experience.
Diddlit in Wonder Labyrinth gets the award of it may not be Metroid Dread, but not even Metroid Dread can say, "Hey, my art was drawn by Hidari!" That is something any game has the right to show off.
One Piece Odyssey. I'm gonna be honest with you, I almost forgot I played this game, which is crazy because I was somewhat excited for it and I even made a video about it. All I remember is that the graphics were very pretty, the fanservice naturally was great, but the game was super unbalanced and exploration was very boring. But I'm sure that video explains that better. One Piece Odyssey gets the award of Fire Emblem Engage. Back when I made a review on this game early in the year, I said the following.
Is Engage a top 3 in the series for me? Not very likely. But is Engage a top 5? Maybe, but I still need more time to digest it.
And now, almost a whole year since Engage released, I can confidently say...
No, it's not even a top 5.
But make no mistake, Engage is still a very good game. It's no exaggeration when I say this is some of the best gameplay in the entire series. The mechanics are so polished, the new ideas are so much fun, and the difficulty curve is actually great. But what does it matter when its story and characters drag it down? And take in mind, it's not borderline insulting and pretentious like Fates. The game knows it's simple and silly and goes along with it. But that doesn't change the fact that this is still a nothing story with some of the most one-dimensional characters you'll ever see. There are great moments, sure, there are a handful of characters you will get attached to, no doubt. But that's all they are, moments and a handful. For me, what makes me love Fire Emblem so much is a combination of 3 things. Gameplay, story, and characters. Engage is incredible from a pure gameplay standpoint, but its story and characters, while they are simple, silly, and even cringe, they didn't really stick with me on the long run. I still like this game, and I can still recommend it to you. If you don't mind cringe anime humor, that is.
Hiya, papaya!
Hiya, papaya? Huh, I've never heard that one before.
Fire Emblem Engage gets the award of Gamer, you don't understand! Having the main antagonist talk about their impregnation fetish is actually vital to the plot. Please, bro, please pay attention to the story, bro, please, please!
Warioland 3 and Warioland 4. What can I say about them that I didn't say before on my video about them? Warioland is a very special franchise with a very unique personality. These games take a more methodical approach and want you to take your time exploring every nook and cranny of each level while experimenting with its mechanics. 4 was definitely more up my alley though, because it was more tense and fast-paced without losing the essence of what made Warioland so different. But both are still amazing titles that stand out a lot due to how weird, bizarre, and creative they are. Nintendo should honestly just give another shot to this franchise because there is something very special here they should not let go to waste.
Warioland 3 and Warioland 4, you deserve the award of being games so amazing that they ended up inspiring the creation of one of the greatest games of all time. And if you follow this channel, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But we'll get there when we get there.
Like a Dragon Ishin. This game was so special because for many years it remained as a Japan-only game. After so long, they finally localized it in the form of a remake. And once I played it... Am I allowed to say I didn't like this game? It's sad because it's so rare for me to not enjoy a Yakuza game. But like a Dragon Ishin, it's just not fun. They give you 4 different playstyles, but only 2 of them actually accomplish anything, and one of them isn't even fun. This game suffers from a lot of balancing issues because it has micro RPG elements, but this puts you in 2 different scenarios. Either you remain very weak for the rest of the game, or you grind for literal hours until your sword style is very competent. But by doing this, all your other styles become useless by comparison. The story of this game is fine, but it's clear this is something only Japanese people can enjoy to their fullest. It has some very cool moments, but overall I forgot most of it that day after I finished the game. Except for that god-awful ending, oh, it was so bad. Make no mistake, I am glad we finally got it in the West, but it really did not live up to the hype, honestly. and for a so-called remake, it's still played with a lot of issues that make it not fun.
Can we even call this an award? Maybe not, but I have to give this game something. Like a Dragon Ishin gets, somehow it manages to be just as frustrating as Dead Souls. Somehow it manages to be just as forgettable as Yakuza 4's story.
Metroid Prime Remastered!
Dude, it's Metroid Prime, like, what else can I say? It's Metroid Prime! Being that game is already an award of its own!
Resident Evil Village, another fantastic horror game from Capcom that had me at the edge of my seat at all times. From beginning to end, this game had me fully invested either in its story, in the atmosphere, or because of the ever-present sense of danger and terror. This game managed to scare me on an entirely different level, yet I enjoyed every single second about it. My only nitpick is that the villains here aren't as great as Bakers from Resident Evil 7, but they were still memorable and cool in their own right. Resident Evil Village is a gem that I fully recommend if you're a fan of horror titles. I can't put into words what an amazing experience it was. But you know what I can do? Give it 2 awards.
Resident Evil Village gets being the first game to make me get a panic attack during a stream. And it also gets the Father of the Year award. Seriously, how come there are people who don't like Ethan Winters? He's amazing! Some of you guys have no taste, seriously.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed. Has it ever happened to you that you play a DLC and it's so good? And I mean, so good that you wish it was a full game? That's what Future Redeemed was for me. It was a very enjoyable experience that was so enjoyable to play through at my own pace. Sure, it didn't get as much customization like in the base game, but what was there was more than enough to make every combat fun, enjoyable and satisfying. And that's not even mentioning the amazing characters and the great story it has, and how they'll expand on all Xenoblade games while also giving a satisfying conclusion to the Cloud saga.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed also gets 2 awards. The first being such a great DLC that I actually enjoyed it more than the base game. And the second...
I'm feeling full of beans!
Phenomenal.
The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I bet many of you are surprised that this game is not among the best of the best I played this year. And quite frankly, I'm surprised too! It's not because Tears of the Kingdom is awful by any means, no. This game is still awesome with how it expands mechanically on what Breath of the Wild did. The plethora of ways in which you can overcome puzzles and traverse the map is amazing, and the amount of content guarantees you'll be playing this for hours and hours and hours. The only reason as to why this game didn't make it to the best ones is because my opinion on it has diminished a little bit, like, the story is not that great. It's all over the place, it lacks focus, and it even goes against its own rules. Does it have good moments? Sure, it does, and said moments are awesome, I'm not overreacting. There's moments in this game so good they had me in tears, pun not intended. But the flaws are also just as big, and considering how Nintendo was trying extremely hard to keep the story a secret, the end result fell a little bit short. This game in general, while it is great, just didn't leave me with the same impact that Breath of the Wild did upon release. Both are still amazing titles that I really like, but considering Tears of the Kingdom was just Breath of the Wild plus, it prevents it from being among the best I played this year.
The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom gets the award of "This game is awesome!" But I was severely disappointed that at no point Ganondorf ever said "Suavemente, bésame, que quiero sentir tus labios besándome otra vez."
Signalis. I feel that a lot of people are going to hate me for what I'm about to say. I didn't like this game, and no, I'm actually serious. Signalis is a title I've heard nothing but good things about. I've had friends tell me that I should play it because of its top-notch horror and amazing story. So I got myself a physical copy because of course I would. And by the end of it I thought, damn! I was so bored and frustrated the whole way through. And sure, I know this is a classic survival horror experience, But in this game, I found item management to be more obnoxious rather than tense. This is because I barely found Signalis scary at all. Yeah, it is weird in a cool, Lovecraftian way, but outside of the very beginning, I can't recall a single moment that genuinely had me tense, screaming, or sweating. And that's not even mentioning how little fun I had with the puzzles. I had no problem solving most of them, but near the end they got so overly complicated that they started to feel like a chore to me. I will say though, this game has an amazing atmosphere and its world building is very fascinating. Clearly, there was a lot of thought put into how the society works, and I can commend that. And when the game gets weird, it gets very weird but in a good way. But the rest of it sadly didn't do it for me. If I can sum up my experience with Signalis, it'll be something like, ooh, scary zombie androids. I'm not being scared at all anymore. I'm bored. I'm bored. I'm bored. I hate this puzzle. I'm bored. This puzzle also sucks. Oh, the android is in love. Good for her. I'm bored. Ooh, the final area is very interesting. And now the game is over. I really wanted to like Signalis, but it just didn't grab me at all. But hey, if you love it, that's amazing. You keep doing that. And if you want to give it a shot, don't let my thoughts sour yours.
But at least from my own experience, the only thing I can give it is this will stand alongside Mega Man 8 and Yakuza 5 in the hall of popular games that I did not enjoy. Now, if you wanna throw tomatoes at me, you're more than welcome to use the ones in my house.
Luis, you know we're so broke we don't even have tomatoes.
Mega Man Battle Network 1, 2 and 3, all courtesy of the Legacy Collection. I've been interested in these games for quite a while and what else can I say other than I enjoy them a lot, yeah! It's clear that these are RPGs from the GBA era, so because of that, Battle Network had a knack for pissing me off at times, with how cryptic it can get, how awful some dungeons tended to be, random encounters every 5 seconds, and even small things like lacking a basic map feature. I won't lie, for most Battle Network games I use guides just to proceed, but when the games get good, oh, they're very good! Only getting better with each entry, with fun stories that surprisingly have high stakes, an immensely lovable cast of characters, so many fantastic events, and a very unique battle system that remains challenging the whole way through. Even though there were rough patches along the way, I can confidently say I really enjoyed the first 3 Battle Network games.
And that's why this trilogy gets the award of
Mega Man Battle Network, Mega Whore Boobs Network.
Pikmin 4. After 10 years of waiting, the game finally released and it did live up to the hype. Pikmin 4 was a love letter for fans of the franchise, keeping everything that makes the series so special while also adding its own unique ideas. It's a game filled to the brim with a ton of love, fan service and content, so much in fact that at times the game might feel a bit bloated. This is the longest Pikmin game, no doubt about it, but at least that content is so much fun and so challenging that playing it remains a very good time. Is it perfect? No. There are some minor changes they did that I wasn't a big fan of, but this game still does a ton of good for me to consider it another fantastic addition to this incredible series.
Pikmin 4, you get the award of
Pokémon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX, an amazing remake of the classic Mystery Dungeon from the GBA and Nintendo DS. This is a fantastic example on how to do a remake that remains very loyal to the source material, unlike BDSP. Mystery Dungeon doesn't just keep intact all the features that made the original so good. It adds a lot of quality of life improvements, new mechanics, a ton more of content, and even adds features that mainline Pokémon games got rid of. You have fairy types, mega evolutions, as well as evolutions and pre-evolutions that weren't present in the 3rd generation. This is the definitive way to play the Rescue Team games. It's an incredible remake with a ton of love and thought put into it. It just goes to show that sometimes, and by that I mean 90% of the time, other game companies care about Pokémon much more than the Pokémon company itself.
Pokémon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX gets the award of The same emotional pain I felt during my childhood, but now in 3D. If you know, you know.
Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. Quite frankly, I will only be repeating myself here. Return to Dreamland is a very loyal remake of an already great game. The updated visuals are gorgeous, and the new additions like extra modes, new copy abilities, and a new story make this the definitive version of Kirby's Return to Dreamland. There is nothing else I can add. Whether you play this alone or with a friend, it's a really good experience.
Kirby's Return to Dreamland DX gets the high honor of being the second remake I played this year that is way too loyal to the source material, but is still great. Something that Pokemon BDSP forgot to do.
Vampire Survivors. You wanna know how I got this game? I was drunk one night and saw it on the eShop and I thought, I've seen people praise this game a lot and it's only 50 pesos? That's like $3! And those are some of the best $3 I've spent in a while. Vampire Survivors is a roguelike that isn't ashamed to show its Castlevania inspiration, with a massive cast of playable characters, tons of different weapons, and legions of monsters coming at you all at once. Vampire Survivors is one of the simplest, yet one of the most satisfying games you can try out there. It's so much fun to experiment with different builds and see your character decimate millions of enemies without moving an inch. It's a game that can get so crazy that there just comes a point where even the frame rate suffers because there is so much going on. And the fact that you can experience all of this with a friend makes this a game well worth your time.
Vampire Survivors gets the award of...
You ready?
Let's go.
Poor predictable Luis. He always chooses garlic.
Good old garlic, nothing beats that! Sonic Frontiers, the Final Horizon DLC. 1 year later, my feelings for this title have not changed in the slightest. This is a very flawed game with a ton of soul poured into it. Despite its issues, you can tell they genuinely care to make an unforgettable Sonic experience. And at least for me, they achieved that. I love this game so much for what it represents, and in a way, I can say the exact same thing for the DLC. Yes, it was far from perfect, it had tons of glitches and issues, and it even pissed me off a few times. But I'm gonna go a bit easier on it because first, it actually added so much content to Frontiers, which was already juicy in its own right. And second, it was free! Yeah! 3 waves of DLC with no extra cost, and it was pretty fun to mess around with all the extra modes, being able to change the physics, unlock the spin dash, and of course, the brand new story mode with 3 new playable characters. The thing about the new story is that it's hard, like punishing hard. This update should have been called Kaiser Frontiers because it's like the developers heard the criticisms that Frontiers was an easy game and crank up the difficulty to a new level to the point it seems like a punishment. But is it fun? Well, when I am not in rage wanting to throw my controller at the TV, yes, it's actually very fun. And again, just like the base game, this gives me hope that Sonic Team will take what works here, flesh it out, iron out the flaws, and give us something that will blow our minds! In this case, I hope they bring back the different playable characters in a 3D Sonic game. They're not perfect, but the potential is there.
Sonic Frontiers, the Final Horizon, gets the award of...
What do I owe you? Nothing. It's for free. Free?
Bayonetta 3. You know, I'm giving this game its award already.
Meh!
I've never been so bored while playing a character action game. I'm sorry, I didn't like Bayonetta 3. I didn't find the combat very engaging or satisfying. I wasn't remotely invested in the story. Nothing about it stuck with me. Even during those moments of spectacle and absurd action that Platinum Games is well known for, I felt nothing. And that's not even mentioning how nasty this game looks graphically. I don't know if this makes sense, but Bayonetta 3 is like a capirotada. For those who don't know, capirotada is a Mexican dessert that basically is a bunch of random stuff thrown in together. Bread, raisins, shredded coconut, piloncillo, sprinkles, cinnamon, nuts, milk, and other stuff.
I don't like capirotada. I tried many different ones and I still think it's one of the nastiest desserts I tried in my life.
This is what Bayonetta 3 felt for me. A mix of a bunch of random stuff that usually I like,
Except for raisins!
but combined together become a disaster. This game has summons during combat, kaiju battles, stealth sections, chase sequences, puzzles, and even a carbon copy of Nero from Devil May Cry. But not a single one of them is as fun as it should be. They don't have enough polish or depth to make them enjoyable. There are moments where the game gets interesting and keeps my attention for a while. But then it just drops the ball hard once again. So in case you forgot already, Bayonetta 3 gets the award of
Meh!
Dead Cells, another great roguelike that I tried this year. A 2D platformer that will have you cutting your way through prison cells, sewers, gardens, and even Dracula's castle. With tight and fluid controls, combined with a plethora of weapons and skills, there is something here that can fit in with different playstyles. With a challenge that rewards skills and reflexes, but also punishes you for being reckless. This is a roguelike all about skill, and one with a very addictive gameplay loop. It explodes with so much content that even to this day, I keep discovering new stuff about it. It's one of those games that is a guaranteed good time if you have nothing to do, and just want some quick dopamine. Also, there's a Castlevania crossover here. I just thought I'll mention that. You know what they say, everyone still cares so much about Castlevania, except Konami.
Dead Cells gets the award of if I had a nickel for every indie roguelike that I played this year that has close ties to Castlevania, I will have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird it happened twice.
Batman Arkham Origins. I'm just gonna repeat what I said on the previous video. For many years, I've seen many people call this the worst Arkham game out there. But after playing it, I honestly liked it so much. Actually, scratch that. I loved it! Sure, it may not improve a lot on the same way City improved on Asylum, but this is still a consistently excellent game that I thoroughly enjoyed. And unlike City, I actually took the time to do as much side content as I could, and even went as far as to get the DLC because I genuinely enjoyed this game so much. I don't have anything negative to say about it. My time with it was so well spent.
Batman Arkham Origins gets a I can't believe Sonic the Hedgehog, Chris Redfield, and Batman all share the same voice actor. But hey, credit where it's due, Roger Craig Smith actually did an amazing job as Batman.
One Shot. This is a game that I just can't describe. Actually, it's not a game. This is something magical you have to enjoy without knowing anything about it. Because every single moment, every line of dialogue, and every interaction is something you have to experience for yourself. I mean, what can I say about this game that won't spoil you? The puzzles are very fun to solve, but still challenge you to use your brain. The sprite work is beyond gorgeous, the characters are all very likable, and the protagonist Nico is simply amazing. You know a game is very special when it manages to make you care for the world it creates and the people that live there.
One Shot gets the award of wow, Nico is so cool! I wish cats were real!
Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name. Damn, I don't know what to say other than this is another fantastic Yakuza game, and this is all thanks to the Dragon Engine. Once again, delivering gorgeous visuals and amazing combat mechanics. This is the best Kiryu has played in the Dragon Engine. Personally, I don't think it's the best out there. I don't think the combat is as good as the Judgment games, but the gameplay is still a lot of fun. The story is very enjoyable, and even though the game is shorter than your average Yakuza title, it still offers a plethora of things to do, at a cheaper price too. And I'm sorry, but I just have to mention it. The entire end sequence of this game is among the best of the best in the entire series. I'm not saying anything beyond that because it is so good, I don't want to spoil it to you. But I can tell you this game is worth to play the whole way through just to experience the ending. It is one of the greatest endings you'll see in a game, especially if you're a long-time Yakuza fan.
Like a Dragon Gaiden earns the award of having an ending so good, and I mean so good that by the end of it you'll be like
Super Mario RPG. Once again, just like Mystery Dungeon and Return to Dreamland, this is a remake that is way too loyal to its source material. But I repeat, it improves on every single aspect, and that is so surprising! Super Mario RPG, despite releasing in 1996, was already next to perfect and didn't really need much to improve. But the remake still added a bunch of extra stuff that make this the best way to play this excellent title. Quality of life improvements, cute visuals, accessibility options, post-game content, and pre-rendered cutscenes. But the best part about this remake is that it left intact every single thing that made this game so special. Knowing modern Nintendo, you will probably expect a ton of unnecessary changes in the enemies and monsters you come across. But no, it still has the same charm and soul that the original had. The fact that this remake exists and is this good is genuinely a miracle. Literally the only reason why this game isn't on the section of the best I played this year, it's because it's still Super Mario RPG, a game I played and finished many times before, so I knew what I was getting into already.
Still, this game is a masterpiece no matter what angle you look at it, which is why I give it the high honor of...
I was never book smart, I'm money smart, make me more intelligent.
Now, it's time to finish this. Let me talk about the 5 absolute best games I played this year. So please, let me start with the cringe one.
Hi-Fi Rush! I just couldn't let this game out. This was a title I enjoyed so much that I even made a video about it. A game I was planning to simply try out, enjoy, and leave it as that. But it was such an amazing experience that I just had to let more people know about its existence, even if only a handful of people watched the video. This is one of the most unique games I've played in a while. Imagine if Devil May Cry and Crypto the Necrodancer had a baby, and the end result is this game. A character action game with rhythm elements. A match that is so bizarre but works so well. It has an incredibly fleshed out combat system that is fun and rewards your skill. It delivers a spectacle at every corner and has a stellar presentation to boot. The story is simple but good, the characters are all likable, and most of the time the jokes are funny. Not to mention the incredible soundtrack that plays at every single second of this ride. It was an adventure so much fun that I had no issues with doing a second run, as well as doing the extra content because it was that amazing. Literally my only complaint about this game is that sometimes it has very cringe and Reddit dialogue. Even so, this was still one of the most unique and fun experiences I had in 2023.
Hi-Fi Rush gets 3 awards. First, being one of the best games I played this year. Second, despite having MCU tier dialogue, it's still not as cringe as Fire Emblem Engage. And third, being the only game to have Corsica, my beloved.
Resident Evil 4 Remake, also known as Rear, which I still think is very funny. Just as I said on the video I made about it, Resident Evil 4 is a game that did not need a remake. But god did it deserve it! This remake is a masterpiece from every angle imaginable! From the tight and responsive controls, a combat system that still manages to be tense and challenging, an amazing dark atmosphere that complements the incredible graphics. And while the dialogue is definitely more mature now, it's still not afraid to be silly and have cheesy lines from time to time. And the best part is, at no point does this remake ever disrespect the original. And I know some might say, oh, but they removed content. Yeah, and the game is still lengthy, and even though some parts were removed, they expanded on other things, making them much more interesting. I swear, sometimes it feels like some people desperately look for excuses to hate on this remake. Did you really miss the Fire Dragon Room that much? Did you want this remake to be one-on-one exactly like the original? Then play the original! It's on every single platform! This remake is a different take on what was already a masterpiece, and it didn't just succeed in being just as good. At least for me, it was better. This remake was a delight to experience.
Resident Evil 4 Remake, or Rear, gets the awards of being the best game I played this year, again, and for keeping the bingo line intact. That honestly meant so much for many people.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
Capcom makes it once again to the top of this year with Street Fighter 6. I had to put this game among the best because, for the first time ever since I played Third Strike, I did a real, genuine effort to get good at a fighting game. Street Fighter 6 just clicked all the right buttons for me. It was very accessible, the tutorials were thorough and did an excellent job to explain all the mechanics. The roster of characters was incredible, and this game's visual style and presentation are so amazing. I love this game so much that in 2 weeks I sunk almost 40 hours on it. 40 hours where I enjoyed every single second of. Street Fighter 6 also had a ton of content like a lengthy story mode and a customizable avatar. Yet, all I care about were those matches, fighting friends and randoms to learn and get better, and climbing all the ranks all the way to gold. Yes, there is more to experience, I have much more room to improve, and this game still has a lot to deliver. But as things stand now, Street Fighter 6 succeeded where 5 failed. It actually motivated me to get good in a fighting game. And that is something incredible.
Street Fighter 6, you win 2 awards. Being one of the best games I played this year, again, and ever since I played this game, my friends keep telling me, do not bring the French near me, for there will be heavy consequences if you do. And what can I say? I'm a non-main.
What I am about to do has not been approved by the Vatican.
Faith, the Unholy Trinity. When I tell you this is a horror game with Atari graphics, you might not think of it as a huge deal. But no, Faith is unlike anything I've ever played. It uses what little it has to its full advantage. With its primitive graphics, a one-button control scheme, and a super basic sound design, it is one of the scariest games I played in my life. There are plenty of jump scares, sure, but the game never abuses of them, and it knows how to psychologically mess up with you, either through sound, lack of information, or due to how vulnerable you are at all times. Every scare that this game gave me, and every time I was about to get a panic attack, all of that was earned. There was not a single moment in which I ever felt safe, and that is the sign of an amazing horror game, especially if it can get me like this.
What's that?
And more than just its horror aspect, the game's story is genuinely fantastic. Most of it comes through notes you can find scattered around, but more than just giving you hints on how to proceed, some of them add more to the world. Others give you more questions than answers, while others are so unnerving to read. But once you tie all of it together, you get a very clever story that is so fascinating to unravel. Faith is a masterpiece that proves many things. You don't need the highest budget to tell a compelling story. You don't need the deeper mechanics to be engaging. And you don't need the greatest graphics to scare. It's a simple game with a simple premise that achieves much more than many other games in the industry. A jewel that I don't hesitate to put on a pedestal from now on. I really can't recommend this enough. If you think you can handle horror, Faith is something you must experience. I'll never forget this game.
Faith, the Unholy Trinity gets 2 very special awards. Being one of the best games I played this year, again, and the most iconic of them all,
Now it is time for the final game of the event, and even if I had tried to hide it, you guys know exactly who is my game of the year. Was this even a surprise? Were you guys expecting anything else? Of course not! Pizza Tower was bound to be my game of the year the moment I played it, and after making 5 videos about it, it speaks lengths on how much I love this game. Pizza Tower is one of the best 2D platformers I've ever played in my life. It has simple to understand mechanics, yet it's a real challenge to master. It has more than 20 levels, and all of them are extremely unique and fun. It has an ugly art style, yet it oozes with so much personality. There is not a single thing this game does wrong, and every aspect about it is more than excellent. When you manage to achieve max speeds and slam your way through a bunch of monsters who are scared of you, you just can't help but feel this constant rush of adrenaline. And that's the key factor on what makes this game so special. It always had me excited. It's like a drug you just can't get enough of. But by the end of it, I felt rewarded and accomplished. Every level, every boss, every piece of music, every unique gimmick and gameplay element come together to create not just one of the best 2D platformers of all time, not just one of the greatest indie games in the market, but one of the greatest video games of all time. I can't describe how much I love this game. And someone out there might try to argue, Luis, we all know that the only reason you love this game so much is because your videos about it are your most popular ones. And to that I say, yes, I definitely made more Pizza Tower videos because of their success. But when I made them, I still pour a ton of love and effort into them. I gave them my all because this game doesn't deserve anything less. I created them because I adore this game to insane levels.
What else can I say? If you want more information about this immaculate masterpiece, I have 5 videos where I talk about it to hell and back. It is that special to me. Which is why Pizza Tower earns the awards of being the best game I played this year, again, and for literally saving my channel when I needed it the most. This game actually helped me to gather money to move to a different country. How many games can say that? It is that important to me. And that's that. Thank you so much for tuning in on this Shelf Awards 2023. Let's hope that next year will be just as eventful and just as good, because that's actually quite a high bar, you know? 2023 was an amazing year for gaming, but hey, the next one is also looking good. We're opening up with Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. That is definitely gonna be amazing. And of course, be sure to tell me in the comments what were the best games you played this year, or the worst ones. That's also welcome. But still, once again, thank you so much for your time. I genuinely hope you enjoyed this event. And of course, if you want to support the channel, you know, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, or Patreon, that will mean so much to me. Have a wonderful day and take care. I'll see you next time.